Hello, hello. I'm so happy and grateful for this evening. I have a very special guest tonight that um, I want to tell you a little bit about her. She's just a dear friend of mine, dear friend and colleague, and her name is Ruth Kent. Ruth is a best-selling author. She's a consultant and professional speaker. She utilizes her extensive background as a registered nurse, specializing in intensive care and trauma, and her high-level training as a certified emotion code and body code practitioner. And she creates quantum leaps with her clients. Quantum leap, easy for me to say. Quantum leaps results for her clients and for the audience. So you guys are going to love this. So Ruth has a lifelong commitment to elevate others with her proven method, heartfelt authenticity, and intuitive, powerful insights. So Ruth, it's just been such a healing path from the start when I met you. I think I loved you right away. You know, it was kind of like.
I was wondering, I feel, like sometimes we've always known each other.
I know.
And then today I was sitting, when did we meet? And I'm going, always. I could not pinpoint when it was that we exactly met. And I know that.
It was a couple of years ago, and it was through, remember you did a healing thing, and there were different practitioners. And so that's where I met you, because I had you do your
that's right,
emotional code.
Yes.
and your emotion code and body code, because yes. I heard about that because of Dr. Nelson and another friend of mine that's a nurse, and I want to ask you about that whole thing too. It's like recommend. But my friend that's a nurse, she took me to one of the events that was put on. So I probably met you there, and I didn't even know it, because that was why, because I knew about these codes and this energy work. And when at the event that I was at, it was amazing. And there were a lot of people there and everything. So when I met you at the, when you were doing the healing, we went around to different Zoom rooms.
Yeah.
And that's where you did that for me. And it's just been like that ever since. It's like, I can't live without it. So
no.
Just really, really wonderful.
And that's the beauty. We all have things to offer. We're all unique. I keep this little angel at my desk, and she's got a puzzle in her hands, in her arms. And that just reminds me, it's up to me to be my best every day. And the best way I know how to do that is serve people.
Exactly.
And that's something that you and I both share. You do an amazing form of energy work as well. I've been a recipient of that. And, I just think it's bringing, the combination, the harmony of people together. Because, if we sit and look at the world at this level, we tend to sit in discontent and disharmony. And we are no better, no worse than anybody else. Shakespeare has a wonderful phrase, and he says, nothing's right or wrong. Thinking makes it so. To me, that's a prison. And when we do the energy work, and this is why, I spoke with you was it last night, or it seemed like last night, but it was
I think it was
nights before, Monday night. And I was sharing with you that, I just don't choose every energy worker.
Yeah, no.
I don't choose every doctor. I don't choose every, to trust that intuition and to trust, but there's so much that is covering people up that they can't even hear that intuition. They can't even connect to it. And I certainly saw this as a nurse.
Yes. So how did you get from a nurse to the energy work?
Well, my own, how can I say, brought to my knees moment.
Okay.
And, I didn't know that I was doing some energy work as a nurse.
Yes, I know you were. That nurses do it automatically.
Well, not all of them again.
Good
And
too.
it was interesting, but very quickly, and I won't tell the whole story, but back in Minnesota in the it would have been the 1970s, early 1980s.
Mhm.
And this pharmacist followed me around and he said, I want you to meet me in my office. Well, he didn't have an office. I didn't know what he was talking about. And he had been following me around for 3 months because he said, we couldn't figure out what you were doing for your patients, that they had less pain medication, better comfort, better cardiac output, better urinary output. What was it you were doing? Well, at that moment in time, I said, well, I probably talked to them, or I probably, whatever.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I think it's my bath. Well, I didn't even know it. I just did it, treat others as you would want to be treated yourself.
Yes.
Well, that's what I was doing. And when I gave them their bath, I would take their feet and put it in warm water and do reflexology. I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing a form of energy, but what was the ingredient that I'm doing there, I'm doing here, and has only grown, but it hasn't changed? The ingredient is love.
Yes, it definitely, you're absolutely right, because the love frequency on the map of consciousness is 500. And
Yes.
when we get into that energy, I'm telling you, there's no stopping us. That's the healing. That's the Archangel Raphael,
Yes.
healing and love energy.
Mhm.
That's what drives us. That's what keeps us alive and well and thriving.
Absolutely. And you asked the question, how did I go from my awareness? Hi, Kate. Welcome aboard. And how do we go from, scientific, cause and effect type of work to energy work? Well, at 45 years old, after going to rheumatoid specialists, internal medicine, chiropractors, acupuncturists, energy zoners, doctors of nutrition, physical therapists, motivational thing, pulmonologist, you name it. Okay. I kept hearing the same phrase. There's nothing we could do for you. After years of this, and I kept trying to move forward. I was doing half marathons. I was doing bike riding until I couldn't anymore. My body was riveted with pain. I was diagnosed with multiple autoimmune disorders, allergy-induced asthma, steroids inhalers, and I had a 5-year-old in front of me who thought playing with mom was sitting next to her watching a movie.
Oh.
Fast forward, I got introduced to do some more energy type of work through the Nikan company. And it was the magnetics and the far infrared and hydration. Okay, that started things kind of supporting my innate, healing.
Yeah, and the energy.
And then through them, I got introduced to this chiropractor that was doing funny work. called energy work.
Yeah.
And it was Dr. Bradley Nelson. And by
Yeah.
the way, today, his new book, we have the emotion code, and now the new book, the body code, has just been out and released. So it's there for people to read,
Wow.
to, hear more about this work and the miracles
Yeah.
that we get to see every day that I wanted to see in nursing. I wanted to see in myself, but not until Dr. Nelson became my doctor in 1997.
Wow.
And I was his patient from 1997 to 1999. And then at that moment in time, I was learning to do it for myself. And occasionally I would do it on my family, my daughter and my husband. But I wasn't really moving forward with it. In 2008, what he intuitively did, he took what I knew as, the energy work and divided it as we know it now, the emotion code, body code. He wrote the book, The Emotion Code, and he gave seminars, workshops on doing this work.
And that's where I found, I met him.
Yeah.
Amazing man.
Oh yeah, his charisma, his gifts, and his family. I mean, I love him dearly.
Yeah,
And
very kind, just big heart.
The authenticness, genuineness. It's just natural. And I can't tell you, I ran out of freckles on my face, the number of seminars I kept going to him. And then in 2007, I was having financial and emotional higher stress, and I could feel it again. And my marriage was having challenges. I called him up and I said, I want to give my husband a free gift for an anniversary gift. And he goes, why are you calling me? And he says, I said, well, I actually want you to do a session on me to release any negative emotions that are contributing to the disharmony of the relationship. He said, well, now, isn't that an interesting turn? Because how often we say, I want you to work on him,
Yeah.
That's not what he was saying.
Healer, heal thyself. Yeah.
So he did. Now, this is where the miracle comes. My husband was very, analytical, very, pretty black and white. 2 days after I had the session, he said to me, is there something different about you? I about dropped my teeth because I thought, you noticed something, and I wasn't supposed to tell him yet. Intuitively, I was just supposed to acknowledge, well, there could be. A month later, he's sitting at my desk. I'm standing at my desk. And the inner voice says, you can show him the session now. Lo and behold, the session was smack dab in front of me. Could I have planned that out? No. I picked up the session, handed it to him. And normally my husband beforehand, and this is where don't go in with a perceived agenda. Right. I went in completely non-attached. Okay. I handed him the session, and he previously would have said, well, what's this all about? And he read, he kept looking at it. He kept looking at it. He was looking at it like he was reading every letter. And I thought, boy, I wonder what's on there. And all of a sudden he handed it to me and he said, you really love me, don't you? Number 2 miracle. Well, the miracles haven't stopped. It saved our marriage. I am debt free. I have a relationship with energy about money, and all the paradigms that I used to have, they're gone. And why is this so important? Well, he died 6 years ago. But before he passed, we renewed our vows 2 times, 2 years prior.
Mm.
And so the love that not only in my personal life, my daughter had a health challenge, and she was diagnosed at 8 years old, and then 29 years old, suddenly started having problems. She called me up and she said, Mom, what do you do to keep me stable from 8 years old to 29? And I said, well, I made sure you had, I prayed. I made sure you had rest, ate well, drank water. We're on the Nikan technology and did the emotion code body code. She said, okay, I did every one except the last one. Again, what we won't do for our kids. I prayed and I was given an answer, because she has not had any challenges since we started a year and a half ago doing the emotion code body code. She does it every Wednesday faithfully. And yeah. And so what took me from medicine into energy work, I simply really respond to this as I feel I extended my nursing.
Exactly.
It's not one or the other. It's a yes and.
Exactly.
Now, this is my hope and prayer for intention, because we actually did a study with the emotion code body code on depression, anxiety, PTSD. It has helped many, many people all over the world. But I also know that every patient I had in the disease process, there was an emotion, a belief, a programming, inherited component every last time. And we will probably pay attention consciously to the imbalances rather than just ride along in life thinking everything's fine, but not until we have that pain in our butt or the unable to breathe or whatever, does our consciousness saying, okay, something's not right. And so I say that because I don't want people to wait until they have a problem to utilize this gift.
Yes.
The emotion code body code can help you to go from comfort, stagnation to abundance, and you mentioned a little bit ago the map of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so interesting. How many times have either of us been in a workshop and they say, do you feel deserving? Well, if you look on the map of consciousness by David Hawkins, fear is 75, deserve is 100. I think that's interesting. But you go up a little bit, willing is, I think, 300, and joy is 340, something like that.
Yeah, well,
be willing to choose joy.
Well, and yeah, the love, the love energy, the healing energy, and then the joy is up above that. So it's 5, it's over 5, because love is 500.
And it's so important. And I've been talking every day. I'm blessed to talk to several people, and so many people try to define things before they believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking earlier about believing in purpose.
Mm-hmm.
When I left nursing, there was a part of me that had an upper limit. I was blocked from doing this work because I thought I was being unloyal.
Yeah.
And it was finally in me when I just said, no, this is an expansion. I'm still serving with love, and I'm getting to see miracles that I didn't get to see there.
Yes. Yes.
Is that work needed? Is it necessary? Yes. But together, can you imagine?
Yeah, it's the this and.
Yes.
Yeah. And nurses are angels. I mean, seriously, nurses do everything. Nurses,
when we're not the nurse Pratchett.
And nurses keep people alive. I mean, the doctors do the technical stuff, but their personality and the way that they're vibrating, I mean, they're great at what they do. God, I had a broken neck and was saved. So
Yeah.
I'm not dissing that. I'm saying this and then I had, after I broke my neck, I had one of my girlfriends took me to her church. And the pastor in the church prayed with me. The three of us sat, up in front, and the three of us prayed. And then he said, "I'm going to come over every week and pray with you."
Yep.
And basically, so he came over every week, and basically what we did, we visualized the bone healing in my neck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was a woman in California. She calls me up. The EMT are in at her house. And she says, "You've got to help me." She was having blood pressure and heart rate problems and things like this. And she said every time the nurse looked at the monitor, it was fine. So they didn't believe that this was going on. And she said, "But it is. I see it." And then the nurse looks at it and it's gone. I said, "Okay, let's just, So I did the emotion code, body code, but the rest of the story and what made me think of this was she ended up in the emergency room in the hospital to do, the cardiac workup, the echo, the cardiac enzymes and all this. That night, her daughter ended up in the same emergency room. Now, I had seen her daughter right before that, the day before. And I said, intuitively, I was told, "You have to go see a doctor." And she told me she was going to go to a doctor. I did not know that it was a naturopath, not a allopathic, Western medicine. And because what she needed was a head CT, and naturopath wouldn't order that. And so anyway, she ended up in the emergency room as well. They did not know each other was in the emergency room.
Oh my gosh.
Until they got the text on the phone. Well, so I go to the hospital the next morning because we found out that night that the daughter had a brain tumor.
Oh.
So I worked on the mother, and she said, she's standing by the door of her daughter's room. And she said, "What did you do to me?" And I said, "Well, I just did the work. Why are you saying this?" And she said, "They can't find anything on cardiac enzymes. The echo was totally normal, and I'm got absolutely no problems today." I said, "Thank you. Thank you." Gratitude.
Yeah.
And so during the time her daughter was having the surgery, which happened to be like 16 hours long, it was tremendous. I had her focus on the brain, on a picture of a normal brain. She sent me a text. Like, I'm working on both the daughter and the mother, during this time. And she sent me a picture of the head CT following the surgery. It was identical to the X-ray or the picture that she had printed out of a normal head. That girl has gone around the world, has played sports. She has her own apartment now. She is doing absolutely amazing. The miracles we get to see here.
Yes.
Of, the discontent, the imbalance in our lives, in our body, in our spirit connection that
absolutely
emotional energy can cause. And what a joy it is to bring this message to people all over the world.
Yes, because we create our realities, and we're so powerful.
Yeah.
And it's just about, like with the Akashic work, it's just helping people to remember who they are, how powerful all of us are, that we all came in with a purpose. We don't have to look for it like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
already have it and already know it. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So that when we
the
can
best things
support people in that way.
Yeah. The best things in my life came to me. And what I mean by that is I fought being a nurse. I did not want to be a nurse. Well, that was up here. I became a nurse aide, fell madly in love with the patients. Through health challenges, I got introduced to what now is a huge passion. And so when you stay open and willing, it's amazing what can happen. And release I call it the stinking thinking.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
What would I love? What would I love? What would I love?
Yeah. And believe in it. Believe
Absolutely.
in it. Imagine, Think and Grow Rich. What is it about? I got to tell you right now, one of my images or one of my beliefs is that I'm going to be somewhere between 75 to 100 pounds less. It's not about the weight. It's about me back dancing, doing everything I want to do and having a good time doing it. I love to travel. I love to dance. And I love being service to people. When I'm carrying around extra emotions, when I'm carrying around extra, weight, okay, that's going to wear me out. So, no matter what it is, make sure that your thoughts, nothing stays in your thoughts rent free.
That's right. That's right. Well, gosh, you've had quite a time. I think, well, all of us here, all of us humans usually have have quite a time. We signed up for it. And,
I don't get to be 71 without having something.
And that's the good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the good news that and if we want something else, then we just think about something else.
Well, what I find interesting is that, T. Harv Eker, in his book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, which is a book that I utilize for my program,
I have it.
Truth. Yeah. He talks about positive thinking and power thinking. And I really invite people, because a lot of people say, well, I'm very positive. And every time they say something, there's still part of them trying to convince themselves that so it would be true.
Right.
Power thinking is knowing that it's not true at this moment, but it's a story that you're willing to live into, that you're willing to put effort for.
Yeah, and we become it. We birth it.
Yes. So I invite people, and many times what is blocking you can be, like I say, inherited programs, childhood. 70% of who we are has already been imprinted by the age of 7 years old, 5, 7, yeah. And it's like you have inherited, and then you have all this, perceived crap. And, we hear that if thoughts create feelings, feelings create actions, action create results. Well, there's actually something before that, and it's called programming.
Yes. And we can reprogram.
Unlearn to learn. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can stay in a fixed mindset, or you can have a growth mindset. And I love it. I was doing a masterclass on mindset, and it was so funny. I looked up mindset, and it had 20 different mindsets, 20, and actually, let's keep it simple, folks. It's either fixed or growth. Either you're stagnant or you're moving,
Yeah, it's like you're expansive or contractive. Let you keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, no, I got it. I'm with you 100%. So, we are definitely on the same path. I think that's what happened when we met, and it's been that way, ever since. And I'm so happy and grateful. Yeah,
Yeah.
my husband Dave loves you. And,
Well,
and
I love having seen both of you grow in the love that brought you together. But not only that, grow in love for yourselves.
absolutely.
That is, you know, that is such a beautiful gift. I mean, your eyes show you're like, and when we get in touch with that more, um, it's not the ego. It's
No,
it's not
we,
the ego.
the ego in the third chakra, we really let that go by the wayside
Mhm.
because that doesn't bring us anything that we love.
Yeah. Carl Jung talks about the first part of life and the second part of life. And the first part of life, you basically build this container. It's that identity. And how many, between the Enneagrams, the Astro, and I'm not against all that. It can get you a framework. But I want you all, I invite you to move into the second half of life and live from your soul.
Absolutely.
Don't frame yourself, because you're going to be the stamp, you know,
Yeah.
and you're infinitely more. You're
Yes.
infinitely more. And know that every day you get to discover. So starting in January, I decided I was going to wake up and I was going to say, oh boy, today's a new day and every day, and I'm new too today. And I get to find more about me today. And I do that. And look out when you do it, because I got to tell you, there's been a whole lot of happening already. And it's only February 23rd,
Yeah.
so be ready, embrace it, enjoy it. And so,
Yes. And it's been so enjoyable to be with you and our audience. And the beauty of it is we're going to wrap it up. I like to keep it around a half an hour because
mhm,
people are more apt to watch the YouTube if it's not too long. But
yeah.
this is jam packed with all the goodies. So I'm just really, really happy and grateful. So Ruth, you're just my
Well,
love.
I'd like to offer people, if they want, just to see if this is something for them, a 15-minute free session. And
Okay.
they can go to my website, ruthkentllc.com,
Okay.
and there's a tab and it says connect with Ruth. You can
Great.
leave a little message in there for me. You can, contact me. And at the time of that appointment, you can either call me or we can do Zoom. I would prefer Zoom only because I'd love to share with you this work and give you a free just gift for reaching out.
Great. That's so special. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love
Mhm.
you so much. And I
I
know
love you, buddy.
this is just, our journey has just begun, and it's ongoing, everlasting, and we could just sit here and talk for 10 more years. So, but
Yes, yes,
we'll have to do it again.
absolutely. I would love that.
Okay, sweetheart. Well, it's just been wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time.